Do you remember the time when superheroes weren't brooding? A time when they would pause mid-chase just to lecture criminals about morality, then politely wait for the commercial break before continuing the action. From 1966 to 1968, ABC's Batman turned crime fighting into a chaotic piece of pop art. With an Adam West so serious it became ridiculous and a Burt Ward with seemingly limitless enthusiasm, the show ignored every television rule to create a world where punches came with on-screen text, and the Batmobile looked like it had driven straight out of a colorful sci-fi dream. This year marks the 60th anniversary of that legendary series, and the celebration is in full swing. Funko has released commemorative pop figures, podcasts are revisiting every episode, and fans are rediscovering why this campy classic has endured for 6 decades. Yet behind all those vibrant colors and playful performances was a bruised, very literal, behind-the-scenes reality. From explosions that nearly burned the cast alive to costumes that sparked outrage among parents, this set was anything but safe. Today, we're counting down the 6 most shocking incidents on the set of Batman 1966. 6. The Batmobile explosion, when the hero car became a burning coffin. Do you remember that thrill every time the engine roared and the Batmobile shot out of the Batcave? For audiences in the 1960s, it was the symbol of justice and futuristic technology. But behind those dazzling shots, the line between an iconic scene and a terrifying tragedy was sometimes thinner than a strand of hair. You're looking at an iconic superhero vehicle, but 1 second too late and it could have turned into a burning coffin. During one fateful take, the rear flame exhaust system, designed to produce a cool jet-like fire effect, suddenly suffered a fuel leak. Instead of a small decorative flame, it erupted into a fierce blaze right next to the car's fuel tank. What made this even more dangerous was that both Adam West and Bert Ward were trapped inside the cramped cockpit, completely unaware that death was right behind them. They maintained their serious expressions, continuing to act according to the script, while the fire behind them was nearly out of control. It wasn't until the heat began seeping through the metal body and panicked screams from the crew filled the set that Bert Ward realized what was happening. He had to leap out of the car in sheer terror, his thin silk costume only centimeters away from the flames. But what truly shocks people is that director William Dozier never cut the scene. That intense moment you see in the final version where the Batmobile speeds through thick smoke and fire is actually a near-fatal accident. The production kept the footage because it delivered a level of raw realism that no special effects of the time could replicate. 5. The wardrobe malfunction, when Catwoman was defeated by a seam. The female villains of the 1960s always carried a deadly charm. Dressed in tight, shimmering outfits, they didn't just fight Batman with martial arts, but with wit and powerful beauty. However, that perfection often became their greatest enemy under the harsh lights of the film set. Catwoman's costumes, and those of her female henchmen, were often made from sequins or synthetic leather with very little flexibility. In one high-intensity action scene, as Catwoman delivered a powerful spinning kick toward the Dark Knight, a fateful rip tore through the silence of the set. The tight costume couldn't withstand the strain and split open at an extremely sensitive spot. The incident happened so quickly that the actress froze mid-pose, stunned. But the most ironic part wasn't the costume itself, it was the reaction of those around her. Instead of rushing in to help, the entire male crew stood frozen for several seconds, as if under a spell. The director had to scream at the top of his lungs before anyone finally called cut. The situation turned what was supposed to be a tense battle into an awkward comedy scene that became a memorable behind-the-scenes story. 4. Cesar Romero's mustache, the Joker's crumbling smile. When we think of the Joker, we immediately picture that chilling grin and ghostly white face. But behind the iconic makeup of actor Cesar Romero was a quiet battle between a gentleman's pride and the harsh demands of the role. Romero was a seasoned actor who deeply valued his signature mustache, something that had defined his image for decades. He flatly refused to shave it, even while playing a white-faced clown. To accommodate the star, the production team applied a thick layer of white makeup, almost like plaster, over the mustache, hoping the bright studio lights would hide it completely. Reality, however, was far less forgiving. Under the intense heat of the studio lights, Romero began sweating beneath the makeup, causing it to lose adhesion. During an important scene where the Joker was maniacally laughing while threatening Batman, the dry makeup began cracking and breaking apart in large chunks. Instead of a powerful grin, the audience would have seen flakes falling like snow, some even flying into Romero's mouth, making him choke and forcing the scene to stop immediately. The moment when Batman's arch-nemesis was coughing and trying to spit out chunks of makeup became one of the most unintentionally hilarious bloopers in the show's history. On modern high-definition screens, that mustache is now glaringly obvious. It revealed not only the charming stubbornness of an old-school star, but also how makeup back then could be a dangerous sport requiring actors to have strong lungs just to avoid inhaling powder. 3. The suffocating mask, when the hero couldn't breathe. You look at Batman's mask and think of mystery and power. But for Adam West, it was literally a miniature iron cage. In the sweltering heat of a 1960s Los Angeles studio, maintaining the image of a non-brooding superhero sometimes became a battle against sheer physical exhaustion. The Batman mask of that era was made from a rigid blend of leather and synthetic plastic. It had no ventilation holes, no way for air or sweat to escape. Under the blazing studio lights, Adam West's face was essentially trapped inside a mobile pressure chamber. Sweat couldn't escape. It ran back into his eyes and nose, causing extreme discomfort that he still had to endure while delivering his lines. A moment both tragic and darkly comedic occurred while Batman was confidently lecturing criminals about morality. Suddenly, his voice faltered, his body swayed, and he collapsed to the floor in front of the stunned crew. The reason was simple: oxygen deprivation due to the sealed mask. The aftermath was even more absurd. Sweat and adhesive had caused the mask to stick tightly to his skin like a second layer. Removing it so medics could assist turned into a painful ordeal, almost like torture, leading Adam West to later describe it as one of the most horrific experiences of his career. Despite these dangers, West and Ward maintained a legendary off-screen friendship that endured for decades. As Ward later recalled, "You just put the two of us together and we don't even have to say a word and people start laughing." 2. Burt Ward's hospital visits, surviving the first week. Bert Ward was only 20 years old when he landed the role of Robin. He was enthusiastic, energetic, and completely unprepared for the physical nightmare that awaited him. Looking back in a 2018 interview, Ward revealed a shocking truth: "I was in the emergency hospital the first 4 of the 6 days of filming." His injuries included second-degree burns from explosions and a broken nose caused by a 2x4 landing on it, also from an explosion. Ward summed up the experience with dark humor, noting that the only 2 horrible things about making the show were that it was very dangerous and he had a costume that was not a lot of fun to wear. Man was not built for tights. The costume issue was even more sensitive. The tight spandex suits worn by Batman and Robin had no protective padding whatsoever, which caused the actors' sensitive areas to become far too visible on television screens. The Catholic League of Decency reacted strongly, forcing the production to implement painful corrective measures. Ward reportedly had to wear tightly wrapped bindings that restricted blood circulation, and in one action scene requiring flexibility, he had to stop midway, his face contorted in pain. These bloopers were often hidden due to their sensitive nature, but they stand as proof of the bizarre behind-the-scenes reality actors endured to satisfy parental standards. 1. The Batarang incident, when a prop became a real weapon. And here we are at number 1, the most infamous incident on the list. The legendary Bat Shield, a bulletproof shield, was made from real metal to achieve the most authentic shine and reflection under studio lighting. But this realism came at a cost. The shield was heavy with dangerously sharp edges. During a chaotic fight scene, with his vision severely limited by the mask, Adam West accidentally threw the shield in the wrong direction, completely off from the rehearsed choreography. The heavy metal shield flew through the air like a deadly disc and struck a stunt actor directly in the face. The impact was so strong that it knocked him backward instantly, leaving him bleeding and unconscious on the spot. At that moment, Adam West completely dropped the Batman persona. He tore off his mask, rushed over to help the injured actor in a state of panic, apologizing repeatedly while still wearing the gray suit that now looked painfully out of place against his genuinely distressed expression. Behind the bright colors, the exaggerated campy humor, and the tight spandex costumes was a behind-the-scenes reality that was bruised in the most literal sense. Adam West and Burt Ward weren't just battling the Joker or Penguin, they were surviving burning Batmobiles, suffocating masks, and sharp metal props that could strike a coworker at any moment. As the show celebrates its 60th anniversary in 2026, new merchandise, podcast retrospectives, and fan events are reminding the world why Batman 66 remains beloved. Bert Ward, now 80 years old, still speaks fondly of his time as Robin, even with the scars to prove it. It was precisely this raw, reckless, and sometimes absurdly unfortunate chaos that helped shape the immortal legend of Batman 1966, a show where even the bloopers carried a strange charm, too good and too real to be left on the cutting room floor. What about you? Do you know any other bloopers or behind-the-scenes accidents? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any future episodes in our series, exploring the hidden secrets of cinema.